Before I talk about the do's and don'ts, what I wanted to, sort of the preamble is, the people that we are seeing are not somebody from Michigan who bought 5 apartments and then just can't afford to pay and are just stopping payment. The people that we are trying to help are people that live here in our community, who work here in our community, or have worked here in our community and have been laid off from their jobs, or have lost their jobs and are struggling to make ends meet, and still want to live in this community and want to be members of our community but can't afford it. And all of my fellow attorneys that are here on the panel have been volunteering to meet with people that are in that position who can't afford a lawyer, and we're going to continue to do that. At some point in the future, and in the community-wide scope of trying to make sure the community is a whole maintained, the investors, which are a real problem, we'll try to address them in a different way. But what I'm going to briefly talk about before I let the real experts come up here is sort of some do's and don'ts. And what we want you all to say to the people who live in your communities. I think mostly you have property managers, realtors, some attorneys. I mean, you know, people, bankers that are on the front line of the foreclosure. The first thing you need to tell them, and every one of us is going to say it, these poor people, they get these letters. The first letter they get from the bank saying, you're delinquent, you haven't paid a payment. They read it, they put it in a drawer, and then they forget it. And from then on out, it's as if they have blinders on. And it's not because they don't want to pay, it's just because they're desperate and they can't afford to pay, or they've got other expenses, or they have no income. So our suggestion is, now with all the new legislation and with all the help out there, the first thing they have to do is open their mail. It's a simple answer, but they don't read their mail. And they have to answer the phone. A lot of times, nowadays, the lenders are calling not to tell them you didn't pay your payment, but could you call us so that we could work something out, because there's a lot of pressure on some of these lenders, and Jeff's going to talk about that later on. So make sure that they tell them, answer your phone. I mean, nobody's going to come up to your door and kick you out of the house unless they go through this whole process. The second thing is, be realistic. You know, people are putting their heads in their sand, and they've got to be realistic about what their future is. Are they going to be able to afford to live in that house? Are they going to be able to stay here? Kathy's going to talk a little bit about the financial implications. You have to consider your options. It may be that they're going to have to move out. And if that's the case, they have to do it gracefully, because there's a lot of financial risk with just up and leaving. So the first thing we say is stay in your house. And the reason we say that is twofold. One, if it's your home and it's your primary residence, there are certain legal rights that you have, and there are certain advantages if it's your primary residence in terms of renegotiation with lenders. So the problem is, if you move out, then it's no longer considered a primary residence, and you may not have the advantage of some of the opportunity of some of the advantages that the lenders are going to give you. So that's the first thing. Stay in the house. Protect the house. My understanding is, and what's going to happen in the future, there's going to be the concept of the cash for keys. Has anybody heard of that? What it is, some of the lenders are going to say, look, if you move out and don't destroy the house, we'll give you some money. And that's really important. I don't know, Jim was talking a little bit about some of the issues. We've heard of some really horror stories that are unbelievable, where a borrower will get the foreclosure notice and they'll have their own foreclosure sale. And what that is, they'll invite everybody and their brother to come in and basically buy everything in that house. And so when they move out, the house is totally and utterly destroyed. Everything that's possible to move or remove has been removed. So when the lender takes over, there's nothing there. And the problem with that is that the lenders at some point are going to start looking for deficiencies. When they go through the foreclosure, they're going to want to get some money out of it because they have been harmed. So we're telling the the borrowers stay in the house, maintain the house, and the other thing, when you maintain it, pay your homeowners assessments, because not just that being a good neighbor, but if you're going to pay anything and you're not paying your lender, you might as well pay your homeowners assessment, because that's another lien out there that's a possibility. Let's see. It's real common sense stuff that we're hoping to get across to borrowers. And we're going to talk a little bit more at the end at some specific questions you may have. But our concept is, tell your clients, tell the people who live in your community that we're here to help, but you have to meet us halfway. Stay in the house. Remember that this is not people out to get them. It's just that, well, I don't know. I could keep on going, but I'm going to have Kathy get up. I'm so emotional about this, I think, as we all